All right, guys, it's Thor, and we are back for another monthly prediction video. And this month, we're going to be talking about the month of June. June is going to be quite an energy shift compared to the previous few months. And I believe that the market correction that we've seen with the stock market and the cryptocurrencies, I think that's a temporary thing that we're seeing. Um, because of this Saturn retrograde, which we're going to talk about, that's coming up very shortly. Okay. But I also feel like the next few months, and we're going to talk about this as we look at the predictions here, I feel like it's all culminating to a lead up to some sort of event that's going to happen in late summer, early fall. And we're going to talk about that. I feel like there's a major event coming, either pandemic or war, that's about to happen, and very serious stuff. I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen. We don't really want to see more trouble, but we'll talk about why I see that with the Saturn retrograde motion that's starting in the month of June. But we're also going to talk about, again, this August 2nd date is an important date for you guys to remember. It's going to keep coming up in my monthly predictions leading up to this point, because that's really a culmination point. A lot of energy is focused on that point, and it's happening in the 6th house of Joe Biden's chart, and it's happening in the 6th house of the USA chart. So this is very, very like evil house energy we're talking about. So let's go to our presentation, guys, and thank you guys that are joining me live. Thank you for being here. First off, guys, actually, let's go to the disclaimer first, guys. This is not meant to replace the advice from a qualified financial planner, for entertainment purposes only. I use the sidereal Vedic zodiac, not the Western tropical zodiac, and your sign could be different using Vedic astrology. And also, guys, like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more crypto videos too, for those of you that are the crypto enthusiasts. I'm going to be doing some more. I'm trying to catch up with videos. I'm trying to do a mixture of videos. So I'm going to do some, we're going to look at some more people's charts, but we're also going to do some more crypto charts. So subscribe and like. My goal is 10,000 subscribers. If you guys are interested in your own private reading and knowing what kind of karma is unfolding in your life, check out my website. The details are down below, and it's 40% off right now if you put in code name Thor. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about the world situation. And I think you guys are probably, my viewers, you guys are probably way aware of the situation, right? So obviously, recently, there's been some tragic violence that's happened in another school tragedy in Texas. So that's kind of the negative influence that's flavoring this month, is we have another one of those incidences popping up. And what I'm kind of seeing right now is, for many of you, you guys probably believe in this ascension timeline. It's something that I believe in, that we're actually in this transition zone where we're going to be entering into the age of Aquarius, which is this higher energy timeline, okay, the 5D timeline. But we're still in this transition period, which could be all the way up to the year 2040. Okay, so we're in this turbulent transition period of universal energies, galactic energies is what we're talking about. So this is what I see. I see this point being a really rocky point in our history, guys. So the 3D reality is hitting a breakdown point as we enter the ascension timeline. Expect more chaos and clown world as people try to acclimate to this 3D reality breakdown. Raise your vibration to acclimate. That's really what we're talking about, guys. So also, food prices are skyrocketing, fuel prices are skyrocketing. And you know, I did title this video, Countdown to Disclosure, because even recently, last month, guys, we had the US congressional hearing that took place in May over UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon. So this is becoming more mainstream. So it's important to talk about this as a backdrop. This is really a backdrop to everything going on, where we're having this countdown to this event that I see happening late summer, early fall, and maybe this whole disclosure, maybe this is going to be part of it. That would be really positive, actually, if we had some disclosure coming out, be really positive. So let's go take a look at this again, guys. The good news about June, let me tell you the good news though. June 4th, guys, we're finally getting out of this Mercury retrograde. I know you guys have probably been feeling it. I had some problems already with Mercury retrograde. For example, my website, all of a sudden, you know, they did an update and then it basically shut down for a couple days. Typical Mercury retrograde stuff. So I'm sure you guys have noticed from May 10th, and even now, maybe there's a lot of communication problems or technical malfunctions are happening. It's going to be over by June 4th. So hang in there, guys. It should be okay. So let's talk about that, guys. Mercury is going to go direct. So this is a really good thing. Mercury will be direct on June 4th, coming up really quickly here. There's going to be better communication. This will be positive for the financial markets, better decisions being made. There could be a slight recovery of the stock market losses from May. That's what I see. And let me show you guys the chart. I made a chart for the month of June that we can take a look at. So if you guys notice, I set the first house as Aries because, you know, this is the natural zodiac. So whenever we talk about the natural zodiac, it always starts out with Aries, if you guys are curious. So this is where Mercury has been during this whole Mercury retrograde that started May 10th and it's ending June 4th. So basically when it was going retrograde, you know, it was going this way, but now it's going to start moving forward on June 4th. So that's a very positive update for this. That's going to be really good. I believe it's going to be a stabilizing effect on cryptos and stock markets in general. I feel like this whole Saturn entering Aquarius back in May, I feel like it was the cause of this recent market correction. And I feel like there's going to be a bigger event coming, probably early 2023, but I feel like this was like the mini event, okay? And we're going to talk about more of what I see coming, but I see even beyond, I want to make it very clear, even beyond this whole, you know, stock market thing, I just see like some serious world situations happening in the near future. So let's go to why I'm talking about this issue of disclosure, guys. So first of all, I feel like there's going to be a lot more disclosures of maybe classified secret information. There's going to be a lot more revelations, could be scandals. We could see more political drama, scandals, people resigning from positions, all because of this Jupiter-Mars conjunction. So I want you guys in the sign of Pisces, which is the natural 12th house. Okay, so when we're talking about the 12th house, guys, we're talking about things that happen behind closed doors. So let me show you guys that in the chart, okay? We're going to go to the chart and I'll show you guys. So here's the 12th house of Pisces. And there, if you guys take a look, we got Mars there. We got Jupiter there. So right now, as I make this video, they're pretty much at the same degree at this moment. And they're going to be pretty much at the same degree or within 3 degrees of each other until June 4th. Okay. Well, what does 12th house represent? Well, 12th house represents the dream world. Okay, so it represents things like dreams, it represents visions, it represents the astral realm. It even represents things like extraterrestrials and outer space or places that are out there, outer worlds, and deals that also happen behind closed doors. So, you know, funny enough, things like nightclubs and bars and places where you got to have your ID check to go, those are represented by the 12th house as well. So corporate boardrooms would be represented by the 12th house, but also these outer worlds and the dream world. Okay, foreign countries are also represented by the 12th house. But since we're looking at a universal chart, I tend to feel like, because what Jupiter does is Jupiter expands things. So Jupiter's expanding this 12th house aspect, okay? So it's going to be good as a spiritual aspect for the planet. That's really good spiritually. I mean, we're talking about recently, there's been a lot of people coming out saying that the veil is getting really thin right now, that there's a lot more contact happening, that there's a lot more, people are having more visitations from ascended masters or different spiritual beings right now. That could all be due to Jupiter in the 12th house. So it could also be a really good time for you guys to meditate and go inward. for your own spiritual journeys. But the whole issue is Mars is there, and Mars tends to really activate things. Okay, so think of Mars is that really like explosive yang energy. Okay, so we're adding that to the Jupiter energy. Jupiter's expanding, and Jupiter and Mars, you know, they're friends. So it's not like they're not in conflict with each other. So they're actually mutually beneficial planets. So I see a lot more disclosures. Maybe we'll see more WikiLeaks situation, or maybe we'll even get updates on Julian Assange. So that's definitely a possibility for the month of June. Let's go to the next part of this presentation, guys. Let's see. So, okay, guys, expect all types of scandals and regrets, secrets being revealed. This could lead to resignations, more UFO disclosure, guys. Maybe this whole, what I'm trying to say is maybe this whole congressional hearing that they had last month in May, maybe this is the tip of the iceberg, and maybe this is what, you know, we're really going to start seeing. Okay, guys, so let's go to the big honcho here. So Saturn is like, and you guys know, like, I always talk about Saturn because Saturn is like the big player, okay? Saturn to me is like the big bully on the block. Okay, so Saturn's like Saturn in our solar system in astrology is like the bad boy, okay? So whenever Saturn makes a move, it's a really big deal, and it's going to be a big deal for the month collectively, and it's going to be a big deal individually in your own chart. So you also want to check your charts, okay, for where Saturn is during this whole time. But let's go and let's talk about that. Oops, I forgot to share the screen. So let's go back to my Paint program. All right, guys, so here's Saturn, okay? Remember, guys, it just entered in the sign of Aquarius just recently, okay? It's only been there since what, May? And this month, okay, June 4th seems to be a very important date, okay, because Mercury's going direct, and we have this whole Mars Jupiter conjunction happening, and then we have Saturn going retrograde. So guys, basically, you know, Saturn here is only at 1 degree, okay, 1 degree of, it's only been there for just a very small amount of time. And it's going to be starting to go retrograde back into Capricorn, okay, during this June 4th. So June 4th, it's not going to be immediately in Capricorn, but it's going to start to go retrograde. That's going to indicate some big karmic shifts happening around that point, okay? So Capricorn, remember, guys, when Saturn first entered Capricorn back in January of 2020, remember what happened? Saturn went into Capricorn, and we had the pandemic, okay? We had the lockdowns, and everything was about pandemic for basically 2 years, the whole Saturn through Capricorn transit, okay? So what I'm seeing is because Saturn's going retrograde, okay, it's in the sign of Aquarius, but it's going to be going back into the sign of, hold on, guys, I'm going to let my cat out. All right, nice. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, so anyways, Saturn's going to be going back as it goes retrograde into the sign of Capricorn. Okay, so that's why I see, guys, I see something happen. Okay, let's go back to that. So July 12th, Mr. Saturn's going to be back in the sign of Capricorn here, okay? Then it's going to be there for the remainder of 2022. So that's why I feel like this summer, guys, we're going into a buildup of a culmination of events. I think it's going to lead us to some sort of situation, either pandemic, war, and lockdowns theme again, okay? And, you know, I'm making a big prediction, and I know a lot of astrologers are probably, you know, being kind of a little more conservative with the prediction, but I see that, like, I would rather give you guys a little bit more of a harsh prediction and it not happen than be, you know, I didn't say something and then you guys get caught off guard by what's going on with world events. So let me go ahead, hold on a second. And I'm going to get to your guys' questions in the chat in a moment. I saw that there were some questions. let me finish this presentation and then we'll go right to your guys' questions. So let me talk about this, guys. So the Saturn retrograde thing, guys, Saturn's going to go retrograde June 4th, and then it's going to be continuing that retrograde motion till October 23rd. And then it's still going to be in the sign of Capricorn till January 23rd. Okay, guys. This could signal the onset of some sort of crisis brewing because Saturn will be back in Capricorn on July 12th, 2022 through January 23rd, 2023. We must keep an eye on the monkeypox situation, guys. And Saturn and Capricorn suggest a revisit to the past issues of pandemic, war, financial crisis, lockdowns, okay? And there's a big planetary event, and I want you guys to mark your calendars. August 2nd is going to be the big planetary event, okay? So that's why I see this Saturn retrograde going back into Capricorn, and then there's going to be a trigger point August 2nd. I see something happening late summer, early fall, okay? And I did see some questions in the chat about that. I'm going to talk about that. But it feels like right now, because of Saturn going retrograde in June, we could start seeing a series of events, possibly disclosure related, possibly scandals related, where it's going to cause a domino effect, okay? Where we're going to see really big changes, okay? All right, so let me go back to, let's see, I'm trying to navigate this. Okay, now let's go back to the event that I'm talking about. Okay, guys, so I'm probably like preaching to the choir with you guys. But let's go. Let's talk about August 2nd, guys. Okay, so August 2nd, why is that important? Okay, it's because Mars, Rahu, and Uranus will be conjunct at 24 degrees of Aries, okay? And so let me show you guys where that is in the chart, because I want to show you guys the intensity here. Because this is intense, okay? So we got Rahu right here, guys, but on August 2nd, Mars is actually going to be over here, okay, Mars. And then we're going to have Mr. Uranus there as well, okay? So Uranus, Mars, and Rahu are all going to be there. Venus is going to be, I believe, out of there, okay? Or sorry, Venus is going to be over here. But it's going to be that. It's going to be at 24 degrees, and that can indicate explosive events, okay? So, you know, we need to keep ourselves open, but I'm definitely watching the whole monkeypox situation. I'm watching that very closely because that could be a trigger event. That could be something, maybe this goes into a bigger crisis, or it might be some sort of war-related event, okay? So I want you guys to be aware. Hopefully it doesn't happen. That's what I want you guys, well, that's what I want to say. Hopefully this prediction is wrong, you know? But hopefully if there is an event, hopefully if there's an event, guys, hopefully it's a raising of consciousness. That's what we really want for an event. Okay, so let me take you guys back to this for a second. Okay, so I want you guys to be aware that in the USA chart, if we look at the USA chart, I should have had it ready for the presentation. And if we look at Biden's chart, if we look at the Biden chart, Aries right here is actually the 6th house, okay? So let's talk about that. Okay, first of all, Aries, what does it represent? Aries, okay? Aries represent things like war. It's all about Mars energy, okay? It represents war, conquest, all that kind of thing, okay? So already the sign of Aries is very an explosive sign, okay? Then in the Biden chart and the USA chart, this is the 6th house. What does the 6th house represent? The 6th house represents disease, conflict, war. Okay, so I want you to be aware that there's so much energy in that vent, okay? With Mars, Uranus, and Rahu being in the same sign of Aries, and in the 6th house of Biden's chart and in the 6th house of the USA chart. It's a really big deal, okay? So that's why I'm making that prediction. And let's go back to this, guys. So that's a flashpoint. That's the flashpoint of the instability. And this could represent why Saturn's going to go back into the sign of Capricorn. Okay. Like we're talking like events like this could be like, you know, government has to take control. Government has to clamp down. Could it be something like, you know, some people talk about martial law. Maybe it could be something like that. Or a lot of enforcement, law enforcement. Okay. So look at that, guys. It occurs in the 6th house, war and War and disease of President Biden's chart occurs in 6th house of USA birth chart. War or pandemic is a strong possibility for the last half of 2022. So I want you guys to be aware of that. It's more aware. I want to bring awareness to you guys, okay? So let me go to some of the questions here, guys. Hold on a second. Okay, so I've just made sure that okay, so the chart. Okay, let me go to some of the questions. 567890 is in the chat. We got Carrie Lightyear. I want to say hello to everybody. We got Ioli Dise. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these questions. Let's see. 567890 says it will be funny if the real aliens turn up rather than elite rats, fake aliens from Earth. You know, there's a lot of people that talk about this whole Project Bluebeam situation. You know that Dr. Stephen Greer brought this up, you know, about this whole idea of this fake alien invasion, you know, to scare the planet into basically a one world type of situation. And Dr. Stephen Greer has been warning about that. If you've seen some of his recent films, guys, I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, Uranus, 12th house, this 12th house thing, you know, this Rahu, Mars, Uranus thing. I mean, it could represent definitely something really crazy going on. So, I mean, it's not beyond the scope of possibility when we're looking at these charts. Let's see, 12th house related to places of confinement such as hospitals, prisons, and also solitude and major inner crisis. Yep. Okay. I'm looking at some of the things. Okay, so yeah, guys, I do see that. I do see something happening, okay? And, you know, maybe this is going to be a big, you know, I look at the positive thing about this. We're going on the ascension timeline. And through these trigger events, which cause changes in the timeline, you know, something very positive could come out of this. There could be a massive awakening. Lots of people like raising their consciousness through all these events, even fearful events. I want you guys to be aware of that. Even fearful events. Oops, I got like a cat hair here. Even fearful events, guys, can be used as a catalyst for awakening. So I want you to be aware of that. That's why the universe or, you know, source uses a lot of times when people go through awakenings, it's usually through some sort of fearful process or fierce grace. Okay, so there's a lot of awakening ability, a lot of awakening potential here, you know, where people really get snapped out of it. They get snapped out of this whole 3D matrix system that we've been in for so many years. Because, you know, when we're talking about the ascension timeline, we're talking about 5D consciousness. We're talking about a civilization, guys, that in 20 years, it's going to look completely different, where people are living from the heart, okay, not from the ego, not from the head. So we're talking about a radical shift in consciousness that's taking place. But the old consciousness doesn't want to change. I mean, it's just like when we look at the energy situation, you know, like the old energy companies don't want to go to this free energy where there could be free energy for all, you know, or this idea of when AI and robots, you know, when they do most of the manual labor on the planet, you know, why are we going to need humans doing manual labor anymore when robots can do it? Why would humans even really need to work? You know, these are the big questions. But the old model of how they're doing reality is they're forcing everybody to do that, to make a living, to have a paycheck, okay? What we're talking about with the advent of technology and consciousness, guys, is we're talking about going into a Star Trek civilization in the future. 20, 30 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, there's not going to be anything such as money. There's not going to be money. Okay, there's not going to be a need for normal work, to have a normal job. Everybody's going to have their needs taken care of, okay, because there's going to be universal abundance. Now there's a couple different roads there. I mean, there's like the dark path, the left-handed path, and then there's like the really good path, you know, that we could take. So that's where we're at. We're at this bifurcation point. Are we going to take the positive path of all of this, where we could go into this age of high technology, universal abundance, living from the heart? Or are we going to take this negative path where it's like scarcity, survival, Saturn mentality. You know, no, there's not enough to go around, you know. And that's what we see right now. We see the Saturn mentality really taking over, you know, with the baby formula shortages and things like that. That's Saturn. There's not enough. There's not enough time. That's all about Saturn thinking. Let me go to the 567-890. It's nice to see you there, by the way. I saw you the other day in Joseph Tittle's YouTube. I was watching his stream and I saw you commenting in there. So it's nice to see you. Really nice to see you. Well, you guys, I am going to conclude the presentation. And I'm going to be coming out with some more videos. We're going to be looking at cryptos, of course. That's the way of the future. Cryptocurrencies until we go, maybe it's a temporary thing. Maybe until we switch over to this universal abundance for everybody. Are we getting a quantum financial system? Okay, so thank you guys for being here. If you guys have comments, please let me know down below what you guys think. And also, if you guys are interested in your own reading, please check out my website. Details are down below. So take care, everybody.